Hi, this is Captain Everyman, and I have these superpowers: clarity, insight, and perspective. Today I'm going to use perspective on something about the Infinity Wars movie. I enjoyed um, Avengers Infinity War very much, but there was something that stood out to me. One of the things I like to do is talk about movies after they're over. Sometimes I'll pick a tangent, like when I saw Black Panther, I wanted to talk about Killmonger and whether he was a hero or not, and some other little topics like that. But this one is stuck out to me big time in this movie. And what it was the pitiful contribution of Black Panther and Wakanda in this movie. Now, coming off that high of Black Panther, which was a movie I really enjoyed, I know probably a lot of you did too, judging from the box office, right? But it brought me kind of down because I expected really more from Wakanda when they were attacked by this. And the spoilers coming, by the way. So if you haven't seen Avengers: Infinity War yet, there will be spoilers here. So go see the movie, come back and watch if you don't want spoilers. But here we go. Um, I was shocked at the military response they had to this invasion because I think about how Killmonger in the movie acted like, well, I'm going to have this world empire and we got all these weapons and we're going to become the sun never setting on the Wakandan empire. Everybody's going to know who we are. And then you get to the movie and they're invaded, and really, did it seem like they even had 100 people there that could fight? And it seemed to me that they were so dependent on this shield that if the shield ever failed, they were just toast completely. You can imagine if Killmonger had succeeded, and just say the Chinese army had come flooding into Africa to stop this, what would have been the result? I can tell you. I mean, they have an army of over 100 million. Now, these little space creatures that were invading, I don't know, were there thousands of them maybe? I'm not sure. But the first thing that shocked me was at the very beginning, before this battle started, is that Wakanda apparently has no standing army. And that seems crazy to me. I can't see how that could be true. And let me say this, at the end of this video, I'm going to talk about how this movie would have been so much different if I had been writing it. I had a very different outlook of what would have happened and how I would have liked to have seen it handled. And I would think it would have been more fun and more humorous this way. But apparently, Wakanda, according to this universe, has no standing army. I was thinking they at least had thousands of soldiers. And you can imagine a soldier, even in an old school vibranium armor, like Black Panther wore in the first movie we saw him in. It doesn't have to be the nanotech armor, just regular vibranium armor. And you can imagine, Killmonger talked about they had thousands of these handheld, like, sonic cannons that could stop a tank. So you got a few thousand soldiers, each one holding one of those. Imagine how imposing that would have been, but apparently not. We're looking at M'Baku with a club in his hand, and that's all he has. I mean, it seems insane to me. So if the shield ever failed, they just be at anybody's mercy. But they have the capacity to make awesome weapons. Can you imagine just a regular round, just a regular shell made of vibranium hitting anything? What kind of damage that would do? Or a hand grenade that has shrapnel vibranium. Imagine what that would do. And I was thinking they would have soldiers that would have weapons like that, but apparently not. So, that was shocking. It made no sense to me whatsoever. Along with the dependence on the shield seemed shocking, because if the shield ever failed, they'd just be swarmed on. Apparently, no army. I don't know how big of a population there is, because it's never really told, but that was just crazy to me. Now, what is the one thing we saw in the movies that Black Panther appeared? They have these incredible airships that have all this maneuverability and apparently vibranium made. Yet, Wakanda has no air force. I was imagining what a strafing run would be like. You got these vibranium airships, armed. We saw some airships in Black Panther that had some kind of weapons that shot. But you can imagine a militarized airship they could have. It could do strafing runs and kill about anything, but no air force. I don't know how that's possible. They in the movie they had these like rotors that came out of these alien ships, and were just killing and grinding up everybody. Well, Wakanda apparently has no tanks. So they don't have any kind of like ground like vehicles they can come back with and shoot at people. They don't have anything like that. That surprised me too. No war weapons apparently. One of the things I imagine they probably have, they got a mountain range in the middle, that they'd have these huge like guns up there that they could shoot down at anything. They got these sonic cannon technology. Imagine if you amplified that a couple thousand times and just made some huge guns. You mount them up there in the mountains where nobody can really get to them, say in caves or whatever, or you just make caves and they come out and start firing. That would be so formidable, but, they didn't have that either. It was just crazy to me. Wakanda just had no military response whatsoever, apparently. Just a handful of people, and, Black Panther's the only one, got a vibranium suit on. They got a handful of men with force field shields, and that's it. And they were easily trampled over, apparently. So I just thought this was crazy. This is a tangent I'd like to hear discussed. And I don't understand how this is possible. I don't know if this really resonates with you if you're a fan of the Black Panther comic books or not. But if I'd been writing this story, they would have had all that. They would have had soldiers with vibranium armor on and guns and sonic cannons. They would have had hand grenades. They would have had all that. They would have had an Air Force and tanks. And what I would have done, sort of like comic relief, I would have had all these superheroes come in there ready to fight this invasion, but have Wakanda so heavily armed, they just obliterate everything before anybody can do anything. The heroes are just standing there waiting to fight, but it never happens because Wakanda is so armed to the teeth with all this high-tech weaponry that they just obliterate whatever's coming in and they start to retreat. And I would have had maybe Thanos sneak in somehow and take the stone away. But I know that would have been less of what the writers wanted because they wanted to see these battles. They wanted to see them be physical and all that. Well, we could have done that in different ways. We could have had some of the higher level flunkies come in there, sneak in, and they'd have to fight them. But I would like to have seen Wakanda revealed as having all this high-tech weaponry and this big imposing army that could hold off anything, and like I said, guns in the mountains and tanks and an Air Force that strafes through and just starts destroying everything and just repels this invasion fairly handily. But of course that wasn't what the writers wanted. So I want to have people discuss what they think about this. I think it was kind of a letdown to see Wakanda be so weak, basically. So like, subscribe, and share, and leave comments, and let's try to get some discussion about this, because I think it was kind of a letdown in more ways than one, that it made Wakanda look kind of weak and unprepared and kind of incompetent, like they couldn't have really, in any way, shape, or form, taken on any kind of invasion that was organized and had any high tech. So like, subscribe, and share, and let's discuss this.